USA, Saturday 25th of May, ESPN and Fox 1 fight reviews. Headliners Jamell and Austin Trout. Sounds fishy? So who sank and who swam? Welcome to Fight Faction. Before I start, all puns intended. Anyway, starting off the ESPN card. Couldn't get hold of this in the UK, obviously. Normally Box Nation show it. But as it stands, I've had to look for other sources and finally found the two top fights on the ESPN. And starting off with Jose Pedraza versus Ines Antonio Lizardo Torres. So we have 5'8" tall Pedraza versus the 6' tall Torres. What can I say? It was a decent fight. Scorecards had the fight basically even. I think one judge had him 79-73. So ultimately, Pedraza's class told him in the end, stopping his man in the 9th round, TKO 9, in a well-deserved victory. It was for the World Boxing Organization Latino lightweight title. Stylistically, probably a bad matchup for Pedraza. But the thing was both guys are orthodox, but the height difference, I think that sort of told in this fight. Either that or Pedraza's off a bit. But Torres coming in with a 40 wins, 2 losses and 1 draw record. You know, first time I've seen that guy, he looked pretty good. And looking at his record, he's beaten Felix Fajardo and TKO round 10s. He's been in good company. Obviously taking a hit on the rankings now, ranked 51, Pedraza number 3. But that's neither here nor there because this guy was better than his, well, can't say better than his record suggested because he had a good record, but better than I thought he'd be. But what I would say is the quality shots in the fight coming from Pedraza eventually, but the work rate of Torres was good as well, so no complaints for this fight. I see both boxers moving on from this. Probably rebuilding for Torres. Obviously, Pedraza wants to make another run for the title. My guess, he'd have to wait it out, or even take on someone like Teofimo Lopez. That's my opinion. Good luck to him in the future. Then we have the main event. Masayuki Ito. 25 wins, 2 losses, 1 draw. Going in the World Boxing Organization World Super Featherweight title. Up against Jamell, the challenger. 19 wins, 2 losses going in, age 33. So previously, I've only seen one fight of this guy. He lost to Denis Shafikov. That's going back in 2016, lost TKO 10. My thoughts on him, obviously he was a solid professional going into this fight. I haven't seen him since. I'm glad he sort of picked up, he improved. Which is what boxing's about, really. You take your loss, you improve. A lot of people out there like to say, oh, you've been exposed, this guy been exposed, that guy been exposed. But it's not a real thing if you keep learning. So I'm pleased to say he was up for this fight and he was ready. So prior to this, top rank signed herring, and I think Bob Arum was hoping he wasn't a red herring, as it were. And as it turned out, he wasn't. So during the fight, Ito seemed to be pulling on his punches, which he normally does before he steps in, and Herring was offsetting him with his jab, giving a lot of movement, scoring with good combinations. It was pretty much, that was the tactics all the way through. You'd have Ito coming on some rounds, and then you'd have obviously Herring scoring his flashy combinations. And he looked poised, he looked professional. Whatever traps Ito's given, he didn't take the bait. So all in all, it was a good performance. So there was talk of the winner of this bout taking on Miguel Berchelt, the WBC champion. Not sure if that'll happen now, but this performance by Herring was a really good performance. It was a revelation. Before I saw this fight, I thought, oh, here we go. It's a routine, set up for Ito to win. Like I said, a revelation. And good boxing all the way through from Herring. Didn't seem to get that tired. Stamina was good. And he netted his first title. So my score for this fight would have been around about 117, 113. Looking at the scorecards on BoxRec. And I wasn't far off. Scorecards were 118, 110, 116, 112, 118, 110. So, yeah. I think 117, 111 was pretty good. I don't know if there'll be a rematch. Is it warranted? I don't know. I think Ito should go back to the drawing board. So either, he couldn't seem to close the ring off like he's done in other fights. I don't know if it's because this is a more slicker fight than he's used to fighting, or whether he had misinterpreted something in training. Both guys can come again. Obviously, Herring now has got the championship. and can move on to bigger and better things. So next up was the Fox 1 card. Headlining Austin Trout versus Terrell Gausha. I used to say Gausha, but telecast was saying Gausha. So Terrell Gausha it is. So I've seen this card advertised. Did I take the bait? Yes, I did. I fell for it, hook, line and sinker. But I'll start off with the lower end of the card. Stuff I didn't see was Antonio Tarver Jr. 5-0 junior middleweight fighting Thomas Hill. I'm not sure the result of that because it's still pending on the box rec. I go to the first fight I did see was a fight at cruiserweight. Ifitoba Apochi versus Earl Newman. Apochi won in round 7, KO round 7, and it could have been a candidate for one of the fights of the year. At that level at least. He now moves to 8-0. Guys from Nigeria look very impressive. 8 wins, 8 KOs, 5-11. And it was an all-action fight. It was, to be honest, it was a good fight, and really enjoyed it. I didn't expect to enjoy it because never heard of both guys, to be honest. But it's always good to see new blood and exciting fights. But nothing more to say about this. It was good. One thing, I think Newman maybe at a small disadvantage by losing on points in his previous fight of 10 rounds in 2017. So he's had quite a long break, over a year. And before that was a split draw. So he hadn't actually had a win since 2016, so it's a big break without the win. So maybe his confidence, as good as he said he was going to be, wasn't quite up to scratch. What's interesting was this Apochi's rated at heavyweight. So obviously in previous fights he might have come in a bit over the cruiserweight limit. And indeed he did in his last fight. He's 204 pounds and a half. So, but obviously cruiserweight's where he's going to be at that size. And I think he's a good addition to the division. Exciting. I think he can build on this in the future, and indeed Earl Newman can come back and feature in exciting fights as well. So another good pairing. Kudos to Fox. Next up I watched Ahmed El Biali KO to Marlos Eduardo Simões. That was just a walkover, to be honest. Sort of over before it started, but it was a light heavyweight bout. Short, sharp, sweet. You couldn't really gauge much from his victory. Ahmed just came out and done the job. Guy 6'3" from Egypt. He's had a good win over a previous good fighter. Previous in Alan Green, 1 KO 3. Maybe Green is not good at that weight anyway. And Jean Pascal has beaten this guy in 6 rounds back in 2017. So it's a mixed bag really. Considering the bangers and big punches in this division, I think I can reserve judgment on Ahmed El Biali. Pre-main event was Cordell Booker, 14-0 going in. Another junior middleweight, or as the Americans like to call it, super welterweight, versus Wale Omotoso. Now I thought that was another really good fight. Won on points by Booker. Booker seemed a class act, to be honest. He had a near shutout. Well, a shutout on all the cards. I don't think I give Wale any of the rounds either, but it was a good contest. It's probably one of the best one-sided fights you'll see. The Nigerian was all action. He's now based in Oxnard, California, so he's obviously going to get more fights through the PBS. And this fight was supposed to be, maybe the winner would have been going on to fight the main event winner, which I'll come to later on. So looking forward to seeing more of this Cordell Booker. There shouldn't be a rush to get him up the top. He's only had, 15-0 now, so why not sort of keep him on the back burner? Build him for another 4 or 5 fights. He's 28 years old, so give him 1 more year. Let him mature a bit. Well, not so much mature, but get him the experience. There's plenty of names to fight. He's not the highest ranked, so he's 28 in the world by box rec. There's plenty of people around that sort of area to get fights. And looking forward to seeing how he develops as well into a world-class fighter. So finally we come to the main event. Austin Trout versus Terrell Gausha. Going back through the records, Jamell Charlo beat Trout for the majority decision over 12 rounds for the World Boxing Council Super Welterweight title in 2018. That was a good fight. I had Charlo nicking the fight. I don't know how you guys had it, but Trout always a good competitor. He's been with the best, hasn't he? Jamell Charlo, he's been with Jarrett Hurd, the Young Guns, Daniel Dawson, Erislander Lara, Alvarez, Miguel Cotto, Delvin Rodriguez. It goes on and on. He's definitely paid his dues. But obviously now he could be on the way out, even though he's 33. He's had some hard fights. And then looking at Terrell Gausha, he's just coming into his own year now. He's lost to Lara on points. That's his only loss. Came back with a win over Joey Hernandez last time out. Lara, of course, is a southpaw. And of course, I think Trout's a southpaw as well. So obviously he's getting difficulty with these sort of opponents. But he has learned a great deal in the last year or two. One little story about Gausha, and that is, when he was in the Olympics, he got a bit upset because he said he was annoyed at the American system, or the American amateur system, because in his own words, it wasn't fair. He said he's going to these tournaments and all these guys know each other from previous tournaments, and I don't know anybody, and none of the American team know anybody. And that's what he wanted. He wanted the amateur game to be like the rest of the world, where everybody goes to all these different tournaments. So whether it's improved since he turned pro, that remains to be seen. I'm not an amateur connoisseur for the US. Obviously, I watch it worldwide, but I don't know all the ins and outs of all the politics. So since 2012, if anybody's got any info, do the American boxers get funded now? Do they get to go to the tournaments? Because that's what's going to give us professional future champions from the US. So that was his rant back then, and it was a valid point. So coming back to the fight, I had Gausha winning the first 4 rounds, as did the commentators. And then the fight sort of seesawed back and forth a bit. And then Trout faded, in my opinion, late. So I added a bigger score. I think I had a 97-93 on my card. But you had one of the judges, Tractor Roberts, 99-91. Gausha, Bill Hunter had an even, which is crazy. And even crazier still was John Dixon's. If anybody else has this fight a draw or in favour of Trout, it'd be interesting to hear the opinions, because definitely I had Gausha ahead on points in a good win here. But it was a draw, even though he took Trout into deep waters. Anyway, no more puns. So lastly, we go on to the Chinese internet card from Facebook. I think it was broadcast on Ring TV as well, and it was also broadcast the WBA website. This bout was taking place in Fuzhou, China. So that's next. So finally, the internet card, as I call it. Sunday morning for us in the UK. I think it might have been even earlier in the morning. No, sorry, Sunday morning. It was definitely around about midday for UK time. And probably early morning, say 7 o'clock in the morning for most people in the US. I hope you guys tune in. Any like I've always said, any boxing free is good. Didn't see all the card again. I don't know if they televised all the card. But my viewing started off with, wow, I'm looking at the results here. I didn't recognise many names actually. Cue the embarrassment. I just looked at the box strike record of Shun Kubo, yeah. I thought, no wonder I didn't recognise no names, because they weren't the ones fighting on the card. Oops. Right. So let me start with Shishao Gao. Was going in 3 wins, 0 losses and 1 draw against Anurak Thisa, was 23 wins and 1 loss. Well, that was a tough fight. He was back and forth. Thisa just seemed to fight like Britain's Michael Gomez, come in strong, working away to the body. He had one KO loss in 3 to Naoma Sumino for the WBA World Super Bantamweight Champion. So he's a former world title challenger at bantamweight, super bantamweight. And coming into this fight, he looked strong. But what was interesting was, Gao was taller, he had good combinations, he looks well schooled. Came in and put the fight on to Thisa. It was a good performance, he was close, you could have added a draw. 97-93 on one card, 95-96 on another card, 96-94. So yeah, it was a classic performance. They matched this guy, Gao, tough, so I'm assuming now they want him to be pushed up the rankings. So I'm guessing he's had a good amateur career as well. But he's only 21 years old, so why the rush? If he hadn't had a brilliant amateur career, just let the guy box at his own pace and learn at his own pace. But he did look a good fighter for only 4 or 5 fights. The next fight, Wulan Tuilazi, another flyweight, fighting Ardin Dayal. The Chinese boxer, again in another tough fight, hard to separate unless you really watch the fight. If you come back, this fight I honestly come back and forth. There was no commentary in this bill, so I think I was having breakfast at the time. Oh, sorry, breakfast, a snack. Otherwise, it's implying I got up at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, which I didn't. It's one of those fights when you're not scoring it properly, it was quite even, and scorecards are reflecting this, judging by what I'm seeing by you. At 114, 114, 117, 111, and 115, 113, so, that looked like a back and forth fight in itself. But the other two fights I wanted to watch more were the world title fights. I put this in order of, I think Carlos Canizales fought last. Yeah, he did. But I'm going to say, I'll go with that result first. Carlos Canizales, 21-0-1 going in against Shun Kimura, who was 18-2-2. That was a really good, tough fight. I thought at one point the pressure of Shun Kimura was going to pay off because he was hurting Canizales. But ultimately, the skill of Canizales, that paid off. It was a big decision for him. 119, 109, two cards. 118, 110 for the points win. But it was a tough fight. Kimura looked really strong, and he looked quite big at the weight. Canizales was battered in there a little bit. His counter punching, his accuracy was brilliant. I'd like to see more of this guy again. So he made a good defence of his World Boxing Association World Lightweight title. It'd be good to see him in a unification fight. And my first time of viewing this guy, and I'll gladly watch him again. So look him up, guys. This guy's worth watching. So lastly, Canzu, or Canshao, is many ways I've heard people pronounce this. The World Boxing Association World Featherweight title, having won it off Jesus Rojas last time round. And don't forget the show was promoted by in association with Golden Boy. Defending against former World Boxing Association World Super Bantamweight champion. As we know, he lost in 9 to Daniel Roman, so no disgrace there. But against Kanju, I can honestly say I didn't see this going long. You could tell in the first 3-4 rounds. Kubo was down in the 5th round. He started to get really hurt, and he just sort of quit in the 6th. And the towel came in, I think, or the referee just stopped him because it was 2 days ago now, wasn't it? Yeah, this guy I'm impressed with. I don't know if he's up there with the likes of the rest of the champions, but give him time. Maybe 1 or 2 more fights. He can figure in some big ones. Maybe fight Santa Cruz or any of the other boxers. So this was free boxing at its best, basically. Good matchups, and best of all, there's no commentary from what I was watching on Facebook, and you don't want that. Sometimes commentary mars your sort of enjoyment, especially sometimes the likes of Fox or ESPN commentary or show. Any of these guys at any one time getting your nerves. So it's a refreshing change to get no commentary. I enjoyed it and look forward to more free stuff again from these guys. That's the end of the reviews. I'd like to finish off by saying I'm here to talk boxing, not politics. Thanks for listening and have a good week. Cheers, guys.